What's going on, guys? Let me get in front of the camera. This is your boy Judah J here for the show tonight. It's not gonna be the red light show today. We got a little bit better light today. So today I just want to recap this game that we had. I mean, it was a great game. Seahawks versus the Raiders. I mean, we did great. We won this game 27-3. We had a lot of great stats. I mean, as far as first downs, we actually beat them in first downs, 19-15. We were moving the ball all day. The running game, the passing game was on point. A lot better than I actually thought that we would do. Because one of the things that I worried about from last week's game against the Rams is not carrying over that type of performance into this performance. Plus, we had to travel all the way to London, so it was... there might have been jet lag. There might have, people, you never know how they were going to prepare. Did they get enough rest? Did they, and just a lot of different things could have happened. But the Seahawks actually got there, and we really put it down. We really showed the league that, we might be a force to be reckoned with. We still have a lot of issues that we're gonna have to fix. Of course, in the back end. Trey Flowers did have, sort of an issue. I think he tweaked his leg. But, it seems like we're coming together at the right time. We have a bye right now, heading into the game against Detroit. But, that's for 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks from now. But in this game, like I said, we won the first down. The first down ratio, 19-15. Passing the first downs, we had 11 first downs. The Raiders had 8. Things like third down efficiency. Now that's really where we did a really good job at, because from the weeks before we were like 0 for 10, and then last week it was something like in the last 2 quarters actually not the last 2 quarters for the whole game, we went like 6 for 9. Now this game we increased that. Now we're 9 for 13, so there's an upward trend right there that's really going in our favor. And that's one of the staples of a great team is you have to perform well on third down, and you have to have manageable third downs. In this whole game, we had manageable third downs. So, we didn't have a situation where it was second down and 15, second down and, even worse than that. And also, in the first half, we did have some penalties. We had a whole bunch of penalties, like 8 penalties for a lot of yards. And but the thing is, in the second half, we only had 1 penalty. And so we didn't have that. They went in and made some adjustments. Whatever Pete Carroll and his coaching staff said worked. We came out in the second half and played a flawless game. As far as the passing yards, it was 214 for the Seahawks to 106. That's not what you would say is a great passing output, but as far as how we operate and how we run the ball, and that's like the main thing that we like to do is run the ball. That's our philosophy. Run the ball, play great defense, and get off, and just move it like that and take up a lot of clock. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're establishing, and it's seemingly working right now. We have 2 straight weeks right now of it just coming together. It's only going to get better, but right now we're seeing the nucleus. We're seeing the foundation of what, Pete Carroll's his vision. We're seeing it come to fruition, and I have no problem with it at all. Russell Wilson for 17 for 23. He had 222 yards. He had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. You can't beat that. You really can't beat that. And, the 12s, I mean, what else can you ask for? This is the type of game right now, beating a team that you should beat, not having a lapse where you showed some good stuff last week against the best team in the NFL, or at least one of the best teams in the NFL, and then come over to London, regardless of how far it is. There's certain teams you are supposed to beat, and the Raiders are a team that we are supposed to beat, and we beat them, and we beat them handily. Yes, we could have scored some more points in the first quarter. There were some drives that ended up in field goals, but that just showed us that we still have a great field goal kicker in Janikowski. Seabass showed up. He made it happen. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that after the kicking woes that we've had for the last couple of years, where we couldn't depend on it at all. But now we have a kicker that we know can kick from long distance, and we know that he can go into a stretch where he's consistent. He's making his extra points. He's making his field goals from 40, even 50 yards out, even 60 yards out. He can kick. Seabass can still kick game-winning field goals. I mean, you just can't ask for more than that. Chris Carson, he didn't have the game like he did last week, but they ran as a committee today. Chris Carson had 14 carries for 59 yards. You can't beat that. You cannot beat that output right there because he would have had more, but Seattle decided to kind of like toss it around a little bit. Baldwin got back into the fray. He had 6 receptions for 91 yards. And, you know, we were waiting to see how Baldwin was going to play after this injury. Now, last week, he, didn't do too much because he's still trying to come back from that injury. But now we've seen him on the fly. We've seen him on the fly routes. Russell Wilson missed a pass to him down the middle of the field. It was thrown a little bit deep, but Baldwin was there and he was fighting for it. But then we saw Baldwin catch up to another long pass down the sideline, and it was a great catch. And so that's like old school Baldwin right there. So there's a lot for us to be happy with when it comes to our passing game. And once that whole thing gels together, Let me just look at this real quick. 1 second, because I'm very excited about what I'm seeing right now. I did not think that we would have this type of, the front end, the offense, and the passing game and the running game is now starting to show signs of development. It's actually it's sort of like when Pete Carroll says in the beginning of the season, we've had these seasons before where the Seahawks are not performing all that well in the beginning of the season. You're like, well, what's going on with the Seahawks? And he said, we're working it out. We just didn't make our run fits. We weren't in the right places, but we're going to get it together. And every time he used to say that stuff, I'm kind of like still leery, kind of like, maybe we just are not that good. But then all of a sudden, just like clockwork, the Seahawks always come around. Since he's for the last 6, 7 years, the Seahawks have always come around, and we get better and better and better. And by the end of the year, we're fighting either be in the playoffs, go far in the playoffs, or in the past go to the Super Bowl. So now, of course, we have a different team, a lot of players left and everything. But it still seems like when Pete Carroll says we're making strides and we're getting better, you can kind of count on that. And that's something that a lot of coaches, they just say that they're just blowing steam, and they just want to keep the fans happy. They're maybe worried about their job. But when Pete Carroll says we're making strides, we're making improvements, you can really count on the Seahawks making strides, making improvements. The Seahawks had 369 total yards today. Oakland only had 185 yards. We had 1 turnover. Oakland had 2 turnovers. Now, when I look at those yards, I'm seeing that we're controlling the clock because of the way that we're throwing, we're running the ball. It's not like we're throwing it all around. Today we threw more. Yes, we did. We threw more. But, our game is to run the ball. So when you see those many yards and you see that Russell Wilson only had 222 yards, that means that a bulk of that is running. We had over 150 yards complete running. So, not just one person. Carson is not the only one that got the yards, but it was spread out. We had Mike Davis get some yards. We even had the kid. We had Penny. We had Penny get some yards today. So, we're seeing it, and we're going to see more from Penny. Trust me. I'm on the Penny bandwagon because I've seen how this guy is moving. I see that a lot of the time he's getting garbage work type yards where he's getting run play. He's getting his touches in situations where the opposing defense know they're going to run. And of course, yes, we want to be a team that can run even if we're going to run. But a lot of the times, Carson and Mike Davis, not taking anything away from them, they get a lot of their runs on downs where it can be a run or a pass. A lot of the times when Penny's getting his opportunities, it's on plays where it's going to be a run. And so it's harder to get the gaps. It's harder to find those openings, those creases, because the defense is already, they're kind of pinpointing towards the run. So, but I've seen them do enough. I saw him in that screen play. I'm looking at his quickness. I'm looking at his shiftiness, and it's looking like, once he, I don't want anything to happen to anybody. I don't want anybody to go down like that. But if they, it just kind of like fuse him into what's going on a little bit more, do some more screen stuff, let him be in the backfield, maybe in a 2-back set, you know what I'm saying, and let him, do some zone stuff like he did at San Diego State. We might see a competition later on in the year between him and Carson. I'm just saying. I know Carson's the truth. That's my dude too. But I mean, I'm just letting you know. Marshawn Lynch, you know, he had 13 carries for 45 yards. It was a great reunion between the Seahawks and Marshawn Lynch. You know, that's one of the best players we've ever had, and that's just everybody's dude. Marshawn Lynch is the boy. He had 13 carries for 45 yards, so we held it in check. He still had the shiftiness. He still had the beast mode. You know what I'm saying? He'd run over everybody. He wouldn't go down. You know, still had that fierceness, that fight. But I'm glad he didn't get off because, you know, he's playing for the wrong team now. I mean, even though that's where he's from and everything, he's playing for the wrong team. You know what I'm saying? Total yards, just to get clarified, that rushing was 155 yards for the Seahawks, 79 yards for the Oakland Raiders. Penalties was actually 8 penalties for the Seahawks for 64 yards. The Raiders had 5 for 38. Like I said before, 7 of those penalties came for the Seahawks in the first half, and then they cleaned it up and only had 1 penalty in the next half. And so, you know, time of possession. This was, you know, it was really close. Seahawks had 31 minutes and 26 seconds. The Raiders had 28 minutes and 34 seconds for their possession. So we won the possession battle. It wasn't by a huge margin, but a lot of our possessions, like I said, was based off of the run, controlling the clock, and you know, you can't ask for anything more than that. The last part, and the part of the game that I love the most, the fourth quarter, is when we had to close down the game. And we just had to hold the ball and make sure that we controlled the clock for the last 7 minutes. The Seahawks went out there, and there was 11 plays that they ran in that 7-minute time period. 9 of those plays were runs. 2 of those plays were passes. So we controlled the ball, the end of the game with the run. So we show we can close out a game just by keeping it on the ground, making great yards and keeping it on the ground, just playing smash mouth football. And trust me, when the stuff comes together with the passing game, when we become more consistent, when we know how to utilize all the receivers a little bit more, David Moore is a boss. David Moore is going to do a lot of great things here in Seattle. He's 7th round pick. That shows that Pete Carroll and John Schneider still know how to pick him, even though we've had some problems picking him lately. I'm still thinking that this draft class that we have right now will be, when we look back in a couple years, to say that actually was a great draft class, because we got a lot of great players some are not producing right now, but you can see the talent and you can see what an offseason will do for a lot of these guys that we got. So, and David Moore, he's not one of those from this last draft class this year, but I'm telling you, this guy is a star in the making. And I'm not going to say a star. I'm going to wait before I say that. But he adds something to the Seahawks receiving core that we haven't had in a very long time. Somebody that we can throw the ball up to, he'll go up and get the ball. He can actually run routes, and he's got some good speed on him, and he has some good whereabouts about him. He's good at knowing where he's at, and he makes plays. And he's somebody that you can say he can make plays. So, we have Baldwin now. David Moore is turning into something special, and of course we have Lockett. So we have 3 receivers. We may not have to go out there and get another receiver. We may just be able to stay with the receivers we have. Next year we get Disley back. I mean, we're gonna have a great tight end and I think he's gonna heal up just fine. We have a great tight end that's coming back. We have these receivers right here. Of course, you can go into the free agency, you can go into the draft, and you can get some more. You can add on and add to the team. But these guys right here, I mean, we're good. This defense, I'm telling you, I'm very happy about what I'm seeing up front with Jarran Reed. Jarran Reed and, of course, your boy Frank Clark, they're becoming the leaders of the team. Jarran Reed is actually doing some stuff that he was doing in Alabama, disrupting the middle, actually getting sacks on the quarterback. He was a boss at Alabama. He was mega boss at Alabama. If you go back to that 2016, 2015 season, I think it was 2015, maybe 2015, 2014 season. I'm not really sure. I think I forgot. You can check me out. But his last year at Alabama, go back and see how he used to disrupt that line. He used to get in all the time. He was the leader of that defense. And when you come from Saban's backyard, you got to be boss. If you're going to come into the NFL and be in the middle of that defense, he's boss. So he had a sack today. I think he has like 4 sacks on the season. I'm not really sure about that, but he had a sack today, and it looked good. He had a sack last week. It looked good. It seems like he's toning his body up. It seems like he's becoming more of a leader. It seems like he's even faster. It seems like he's more. He has more technique with his hands, with his legs. He has in his positioning. So he's becoming the player that we want him to become. Frank Clark's just a beast. He is just proving that he should be really good for that contract coming up. We need to sign Frank Clark. Frank Clark, if we don't sign him, he's gonna be a very highly sought out free agent. So we need to make sure we keep Frank Clark around. The defense as a whole is starting to gel. We're still one of the best best defense at getting turnovers. I don't know the numbers right now, but we're a great defense at making turnovers, interceptions, fumbles. We're getting fumbles. We're making it happen. The thing we just have to do as a team, as a defense, is, of course, stick to getting the other opposing team off on third downs. And we have to make sure when they do these little crossing routes, when they're dinking and dunking, we have to, I guess that just comes from awareness. That might come from the linebackers being able to see it a little bit quicker and being able to react. But that just comes with more time. That comes with just learning, just having experience. But, I want them to be able to stop those little dink and dunk crossing routes. Because it seems like it happens a lot. Every game you'll see a receiver just, 5-yard hitch, go across the middle, and they're just running across the middle like that. And then we're always just, letting them do that. We're not letting them get behind us, but we're letting them have these little dink and dunk little passes, and that adds up. And it adds up, and when you play against a great quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers, because we still have to play against Aaron Rodgers. We still have to play against Jared Goff again. I'm not saying Jared Goff is great yet, but he can do that, and that offense is the truth. That Rams offense is the truth. So we still have to play against some really good quarterbacks. Even Stafford's proven as well. We still have to play against some great quarterbacks, and we have to be able to stop those little dink and dunk cross routes. Because even if we can stop the stuff on the outside, if we can't stop that stuff, it's going to be a problem. Trust me, we have to but that's just the defense coming together as a whole, becoming more seasoned, just learning how to see that stuff, to see it, to identify it, and then just to react quicker. So, it can be done. It will be done. The Seahawks are off this next week. They're in a bye week. When they come back, you're going to have KJ Wright back. You're going to have Mingo going back to the side that he's the position that he's more comfortable with, which will make our defense even more better, make it much more just flowing in the way that it should, because everybody's going to be in their position. We're going to have Deion Jordan hopefully back to add to the pass rush. The guys that are hurt right now, I didn't really see the injury report yet, but the guys that might be a little bit dinged up, that gives them some extra time to get back to the field. And I'm just really excited about what we're doing right now, where we're going, and hopefully, after this bye week, we can go to Detroit, get that win, have the little reunion with Golden Tate and them, and then, be 4-3. So anyways, this is your boy Judah J. Just had to do a little video for you for my 12s. And, go Hawks all the time. Go Hawks.